I'll keep going till my feet get cold now. I'll keep going till my feet get cold now. I'll keep going till my feet get cold now. I'll keep going till my I'll keep going till my I'll keep up till my feet get cold. I'll keep going till my feet get cold now. I'll keep going till my feet get cold now. I'll keep going till my feet get cold now. I'll keep going till my feet get cold now. Going till my feet get cold now. I'll keep going till my feet get cold now. I'll keep going till my feet get cold now. I'll keep going till my I'll keep going till my I'll keep up till my feet get cold. I'll keep going till my feet get cold now. I'll keep going till my feet get cold now. I'll keep going till my feet get cold now. I'll keep going till my feet get cold now. I'll keep going till my feet get cold now. I'll keep going till my feet get cold now.
ESL presents ESL Challenger League in partnership with Intel, Acer Predator, DHL, and Checks.
Welcome back on in for another day of the ESL Challenger League Season 51 Asia Cup #1 back again after, I would say, a pretty anticlimactic game yesterday where we saw Last Bullet go down pretty comprehensively to Morningstar, the team that's now in the grand final. And the match that we have for us today will be up against CTG, one of the fan favorites, and by fans I mean Pilski favorites, from what we got to see towards the back end of last year, Pilski. But these two teams facing off for the opportunity to play Morningstar tomorrow in the grand final of Cup #1. What's your take coming into today?
I don't know, like, I was impressed, as I mentioned yesterday, by Last Bullet's results in this tournament thus far. They took down a lot of the good Mongolian teams kicking around in the Asian scene right now, but I don't know, I'm a bit biased towards Change the Game. I really liked what I saw from them at Zowie Extremes Land. I know that they've been grinding in that Asian scene for a little while, so despite the fact that they've lost 0 to Tyloo, I still think it's a pretty decent team, pretty well-rounded. I didn't think it was necessarily just a 0 show, although he did have some pretty good performances. I like that they play with good structure. I think that all of them had some pretty well-defined roles, and it seems like the player that they picked up in Zero's stead is doing some pretty decent damage in this tournament thus far, so I really wouldn't be surprised if Last Bullet do go down to Change the Game here, although I expect these teams to be reasonably well matched. And look, to be fair, given what we saw from Morningstar in that upper bracket game, upper final against Last Bullet yesterday, they're probably just going to smash whatever team steps foot in that grand final.
Yeah, no, I would definitely echo that sentiment at the very least. I think Morningstar seems to be a bit of a cut above. They seem to have really accelerated this year in 2026. Change the Game, yeah, they're an interesting prospect, obviously, as well. As we kind of, again, are wondering where this team's going to find themselves after Zero has departed. And I definitely had my reservations. I had my doubts, but seems like they're still kind of underway nicely. Again, just reminding you guys of the prize pool, 10K on the board there for the Asia region, which is not a shabby amount for these teams. But here's how the bracket played out. I don't think there's honestly that many surprises. I suppose you probably would have picked Chinggis Warriors to maybe go a little bit deeper than what they did. But again, I think they're one of those teams that really found themselves in a pretty good spot last year because of the general weakness of the region, and now that some of those teams have kind of caught themselves up, some of the Chinese teams have made some good changes, starting to find their feet. They're starting to get eclipsed along with a couple of the other Tier 2 Mongolian teams. So quite a bit to be said for the Tier 2 sort of outfits in China. Again, we get another Chinese matchup. Obviously, that's something that we have yet to mention today as well. Both Last Bullet and Change the Game Chinese rosters as well. So top 3 teams in this season of ECL are Chinese, and that's without the big names of Tyloo, Lin Vision, and Rare Atom. And I think that really says quite a lot.
Man, the depth and the girth of the Chinese scene right now is really starting to flex its muscles. Like, we talk about how much of a talent pipeline there is in Mongolia with some of, the domestic local events that they had going for quite a while. But I really think that not only have the Chinese events stepped up, but the Chinese team stepping up along with them. Take a look at Last Bullet's roster here. Bingo Land, BZA, Ronin Baby, Miami. This is the remnants of what was a Bromo roster and a lot of mixed teams with Tiger, who's now over on Rare Atom, and some of the other, big names and up-and-comers in the Chinese scene mixed in with some heavy hitters that we've seen play in other teams. I think Ronin Baby was the standout. That man is a demon with the deagle, as far as we saw yesterday. But I think a reasonably well-rounded roster in general. I think Rage was pretty good when we got to see him yesterday. Sorry, he was on Morningstar, wasn't he? But I think Ronin Baby and some of the other boys had, a pretty good day at the office. And to Change the Game, I've definitely got my eye on this Pro Killer guy. I haven't seen him play yet, but he's one of the top stat players in this tournament so far.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I think there's definitely a number of players that I think you can look forward to kind of watching in this matchup. Similar in regard to that previous game. Again, I obviously had Morningstar in a little bit of a cut above, but I think these two teams actually will be quite evenly matched. And we certainly saw some moments there yesterday from Last Bullet that would have got you excited. Ronan Baby, obviously, with the Deagle being one of them. But yeah, changed the game, like you said, back over at Extremeland. We're having some pretty good moments as well. You know, it was Zero that was doing a lot of the work, but there was definitely enough to be said in the rest of that lineup as well. Here's the map stats again for CTG. As far as what we're going to get out of this video is concerned, it's a little bit harder to say just because we don't have a huge amount of info when it comes to Last Bullet, but they did play against each other very early on in 2025, so probably not even that relevant, but we saw Inferno and Anubis in that matchup, and there's been some pretty substantial roster changes for these two teams as well since then. So, you know, I guess we'll get to see whether or not we do get those maps back through once again. I would just say, I think coming into this one, I do sort of have changed the game pegged as the favorite personally. I think they've been playing a little bit more. They've had some reasonably good, solid results of late as well. So I just think in terms of the form, they're probably the team to beat as far as I'm concerned. But I actually think this will be quite a close matchup. I think both these teams are going to be pretty evenly matched. And so we'll get a pretty good game that may go all the way to that decider of Inferno. But we do indeed actually get the Ancient and the Dust 2 today. So again, the Ancient going to be coming through. Fan favorite certainly within the Asia region. Looking forward to catching up with what that's going to present for us.
Sure. I think Ancient was a map that we were kind of hotly discussing yesterday with the Morningstar matchup, and look, didn't end up going that well for Last Bullet, but they have opted to pick it into this series, so look, we'll see what we're going to get. I think for the boys on Change the Game, though, shouldn't be too much of a stranger to a map like this. It's a map that sees a lot of play. They're going to go for Dust 2 themselves. See a lot of the Chinese teams playing a lot of Dust 2 as well, so really feels like the map pool is pretty well defined amongst these Asian teams. And they're pretty happy to kind of have a bit of a handshake veto and just see who wins on the day.
Two sets of dualies to start things off for CTG. Be quite happy to get into a bit of a brawl. See what that initial setup looks like, if it's going to be a heavy stack towards B or not. Looks to be not. 2-on-2, pretty standard stuff, I suppose, from the CT side there. But as soon as Vance is smoked off, he's out of mid to reinforce the A defense, and it's going to need some reinforcing because Miami's already found the opener, and bingo, another into the donut. So this round already starting quite poorly for Change the Game. The pace is certainly a little quicker than what we saw from Last Bullet yesterday on the T side, and that might be what's catching CTG off guard. They have done well, though, to pull back a couple of kills, and they've actually got the players where they need them to defend this B bomb site hit. 957, though, will lose his head, and with that, they will lose the site.
Hacking, doing his best to come back on in, but he's not allowed to. Miami's on a bit of a tear right now. 3 for this round, and it's just on to Vance, who... Look, it's a rough position to be in. You got 3 players ready to swing on you as soon as you make contact, and they're not even needed. 4K for Miami. He's just blitzed his way straight through that round. It looks like Florida Man is already up to no good.
Ronan Baby also up to no good by the looks of things, an early DC.
Love to see it.
So it'll be one of those days. Hey, look, you know, at least we started on time today. Okay, so... We're already 15 minutes ahead of schedule as far as yesterday is concerned. BZA is now having a turn to take a break too. I don't imagine this would be a VPN issue because of the fact that this is 2 Chinese teams. I just assume we're playing on a Chinese server, so there wouldn't be any need to sort of VPN for ping or anything like that, which is sometimes what you would get when you're playing some of these Asia matches. It's maybe not as big of a deal these days as what it used to be, just because, you know, we've really only got like Chinese teams, Mongolian teams for the most part. But back when there was Korean teams and Singaporean teams and, you know, who knows what else, that's where a lot of those VPN discussions always used to happen. I remember it was always a problem when Mongolia played South Korea. It was just like you never had any shortage of issues.
I was actually telling that story on the Pacific broadcast. Not actually on the broadcast, but like a co-stream the other day. Where I was talking about remember when MVP PK got disqualified from EPL? Because they just they could not get
a working connection.
They couldn't get their VPN working, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that night because we were there for like a couple of hours.
Yeah, it was like a 40-minute delay, and then we got word they're refusing to play.
Yeah.
Let's come back to cameras and just let everybody know that they have been banned for 2 seasons because they just won't play with a VPN. They just can't agree on a connection. Luckily, we haven't had that many of those shenanigans, and to be fair, we've been getting a lot of bloody lands, so that makes everyone pretty happy. Force Bite will come in, though, from Change the Game. They don't want to let that pistol go lightly. Rifles invested here for Last Bullet, who are working the map quite nicely. You've already got Ronan, baby, straight up the guts into Red Room. You've got some space on Shelf to boot. Really keeping my eye on this A push, though. At some point, Change the Game is going to take some space over there, and that may catch the T's off guard.
Yeah, they've waited patiently, haven't they? But I'm sure ProKiller's going to be getting the go-ahead shortly. If not, he's going to at least get the info that there's a push happening over towards B, and I think that will force him to get his running shoes on. Bit of spam through the wood wall, not going to cause too much of a problem here for Last Bullet, but this push up into the B bomb site certainly could. Smoke will delay, and there's actually quite a bit of damage being done here. Chip damage, really, that could prove to be pivotal for CTG. Push on through. 957, only good for one with the 5-7. That felt like it could be so much more for CTG, and it ends up amounting to not a whole lot.
See what the approach is going to be then. Does seem like Vance is just edging his way into the site. Was definitely not ready for the swing from Miami. This guy is really on a tear today. 6-0 already. ProKiller playing for some exits. Haven't really seen him have much of an opportunity to get involved thus far. Lixu is still hanging around as well. It does seem like they want to make this one expensive for Last Bullet. Some of the players quite low on HP, and they're going to filter out of the site straight down B ramp. Lixu misses his opportunity to catch them on the exit, but ProKiller is hanging around like a bad smell on Shelf, and he's doing a lot of damage to boot. Nice couple of picks with the 5-7. And Last Bullet, look, they get it done, but they definitely took a couple of licks.
Yeah, the only unfortunate thing there for CTG is there's no guns really that are retrievable. Sure, Lixu comes away with an MP9 and ProKiller's got the 5-7, but it would have been nice to just grab a rifle there. ProKiller, you feel like deserved it with the kills that he was able to get on the exit there. It's just they were from range. Solid stuff so far from Last Bullet, though. Keeping CTG pretty honest. Another eco out from CTG. They're going to try and get right in the face of Last Bullet, but it's not amounted to a whole lot.
Down to the last couple of pistols, really. Hacking. Crabbing his way down Shelf. Bombs in bloody spawn, so look, Last Bullet probably just going to sit around for a bit. Bingo may get caught here. I don't know if they're going to be ready for Hacking to have swindled his way into a cheeky little position like that one. So he might get himself a freebie here. But that'll probably be about it. Nope, couldn't even catch Miami on the cross. Unfortunate.
Yeah.
Very clean start for Last Bullet there. 3+K on all of these boys. T side is really kind of thrumming along for them. And now it's up to Change the Game. They've got the AWP out. Util's looking good. So, look, first gun round's got to get some work done. This 957 guy, he really has not changed his Extreme Slant, has he? He's been a SMG demon back in that tournament as well. Even just first gun round, mine's already got the MP9 out.
Why not? It's not a bad map for it if you're playing around on that B bomb site. A lot of close range fights. You can do a lot in Cave and Cheetah and around the ramp. ProKiller down early. You wanted to see something from him. It's not going to happen in this first gun round. Vance, though, exchanging a couple. The AWP working out nicely, and there is that MP9 going to town onto LAN. Bingo almost fell as well. As soon as the guns are in hand, CTG look a different outfit. That was a clean bit of aggression out from the CT side that's left Bingo with it all to do on 2 HP.
Nice. On a bit of a quest. Some kind of Indiana Jones-esque run through into the temple. He's not even allowed to step foot into it, though. Hacking is going to put him down in transition. And exactly like you said, really good opening first gun round for Change the Game. And that MP9 purchase has been worth its weight in gold. A 2K plus a nice little dinkage onto the third player there, which actually allows 957, who already had $1,000 in the bank account, to do quite well for himself. Oh, no, he only got the one, to be fair. But still, I mean, 4.9 in the following round. He's been able to reinvest quite nicely. Last bullet sitting right near this bottom mid area. Really looking to try to contest any control over there. The CT smoke hasn't actually secured any control, so the flashes are going to push them back. 957 aggressing, and he's team flashed by the player on the site there. Hacking has really kind of left him high and dry in that situation. He had a good timing for it, but he's really been cooked by the boys.
Like going down as well. This round is not really amounting to a whole lot. Util will stop Ronan Baby in his tracks. Smoke will fade favorably for ProKiller. That's a nice passage of play from him. But B site well and truly taken. Last bullet should have no problems, and frankly speaking, I think CTG should probably just be looking for the save in this round.
Money's still a little sketch for Change the Game. Plant will finally start to get established, and they are kind of hanging around and peppering as best they can, but surely that's the kill that puts a little bit of pause for thought. BZA with an easy 2, and Vance definitely just going to hold on to the AWP here. But that buy going to look a whole lot worse than it might have had they held on to those rifles. And in hot pursuit is Miami, 9-2. Just continuing to go from strength to strength, all picked up for him. And it's a reset on 2 of these players here for Change the Game, and an early 4-1 lead for Last Bullet. Immediate reply after round 4 there, rather.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, that's what you want to be seeing on your map pick as well, getting off to a banger of a start here and really putting CTG under the pump. Again, quick smoke to Red Room for Cheetah as well. And Last Bullet pretty quick into this round as well, copying a little bit of a beating from the grenades on their way through. Hacking is out the smoke, and so too 957, but that, watched by Miami, will be a double kill to open things up for Last Bullet. They lose the exchange in middle, but they win it on lane. And now they have the B bomb site as well with that entry onto Vance. Again, it continues to go well for Last Bullet here. Lance should have a pretty easy shot ahead of him there onto ProKiller, which will more or less confirm things.
I mean, this is kind of what I was saying. It wasn't just cope, okay, into that Ancient game against Morningstar. Like, the boys on Last Bullet have had some good games on Ancient lately. Just really doesn't feel like they are well equipped to deal with the Morningstar outfit at the moment. But against pretty much everybody in this ECL Cup, they are kind of battering him on this map. Change the Game included now. I mean, I don't even know what Laxu's thinking of achieving there on 10 HP. Running up into Red Room late into the round. T-side money isn't even that bad. Definitely would have thought you'd want to hold on to the A1S there, but yeah, man was filling his oats, I guess.
Yeah, scraping the bottom of the barrel now, CTG. Similar approach in a lot of these rounds. Last Bullet very happy to sort of pick the pace up here on the T side of Ancient, which is, again, surprising me a little bit considering how slow they played yesterday on the T side against Morningstar.
See if the MP9s and 5.7s are going to pose any problems. I mean, so far, so good for the Last Bullet. Ronan Baby, surprised he's showing this much restraint, honestly. Just jiggling around outside of Red Room. Going to drop the molly to zone some of these pistolers back a little.
Oh, awkward timing for Ronan Baby. Laxu finds an important kill. And with this player in cave, you know, a close exchange with that 5-7, things could still come together in this round for CTG. Bingo kind of watching for it. He'll be peppered by that jump up at Shelf as well, but Vance will go down easily too. Bomb plant on the floor. Last Bullet seemed to have negotiated the iceberg in the water pretty comfortably in the end.
And really just a question of exits yet again here. Pro cleared out a Sworn. And likes to seeing if he can bolster the bank account at all. Bingo seems very clued on to that, but still not quite able to tussle with the MP9. Don't know if that's really what you want to be saving. He'd love to get his hands on an AK if he can get it, and that's another one bottom middle. Goes down to the bomb, but well and truly worth it. In fact, on 6.6, he's probably going to just be able to drop it AWP over to Vance and give him a bit more util. Or I guess Vance is just going to go without. Surely you want to shuffle that around a bit. There you go. Full grenades for all the boys. You'll love to see it.
Bit more map control this time as well to start things off for CTG. They've, again, played a bit aggressively in middle, aggressively on lane, but the difference this time, they're not going to come into any resistance, so they'll be wondering what's Last Bullet up to. As we can tell, obviously, it's preparation for an A hit. So all these numbers over towards B and mid are going to be pretty ineffective for CTG if that hit comes through, but a very nicely timed insend from Vance, allowing him to slide back onto that angle, clear out main, at least as much as he can. And it's pushed Last Bullet away. They have rotated that extra player back over to A, but they've still got their forces well set up for a defense here on B.
They're just completely blocked by one piece of util. Very well done. 55 seconds on the clock. I mean, really just is a case of how well they can re-clear the rest of the map. They're well aware that this territory is contested. Rona Baby going to throw a one-man exit into middle to try to keep the CTs honest, but the brunt of the push, as we can see it, is this retake on B.
Hacking. Down early on in the piece. And Ronan Baby picks his timing really nicely in mid. Catching the back of 957. Bomb still needs to go down though with 24 seconds left on the clock. That job is going to be left on the shoulders of Lan, and he hits a nice shot to ensure that it is going to be possible. It was getting awkward for a moment there. Once the AK gets it, Plant's gone down. Van's making a lot of noise and will be dealt with. Nice passage of play out from Lan and from Last Bullet. They are looking really clean tonight.
That was a really good contingency. Like, that's something that's very clearly pre-prepped. And that's what's really fascinating me about the, tier 2 Chinese teams at the moment. Like, back in the day, you would never see anything like that. Even from, like, a Bromo or something like that. Like, the calling on teams, like, changed the game. Even Last Bullet in that round of, like, okay, we got blocked A. We have a full, like, set B shelf retake. And a good protocol if plan A is not on the cards, Like, back in the day, you would just never have seen that from Chinese teams. They would, get blocked in one part of the map, or, the initial call wouldn't go well and they would just look lost sometimes. Really is a different era.
Oh, Ronan Baby. Nice open up onto Lagsu. Again, you look at the map control, the territory that Last Bullet have been able to take here, and you think this should surely not be a winnable round for CTG. 957 goes past Lan like ships in the night. Ooh, Pro Killer for a double. That's just got a bit awkward for Last Bullet. Maybe getting a little bit lackadaisical with the entry into A. It's going to need to now be recovered by Ronan Baby and Miami, and it's going to be a tough ask, but they might be able to get a plant down behind the boxes.
Just a couple of CTs in pretty annoying positions, and Vance is closing in. That's a great timing to peek out with the 5-7. 8K in hand now. Traded well by Ronan Baby, but that's an off angle of all time. 3K for Pro Killer. Hasn't had much to do in the early portions of this game, but a 3 to deliver a second round for Change the Game is a good time to step in. especially on a buy where they really didn't have much to work with. He was one of the only guys with a rifle in hand.
Like Zoo. Oh, a bit unlucky there. Ronan Baby flashed out. Still able to hit the headshot before he goes down, and so 4v4 ensues. Looks like last bullet probing towards that A site once again.
Can already see,
defense,
like, Change
though.
the Game is trying to, like, pre-flood into this A site before they've even actually committed to anything. Bingo's got the boost on up.
957 able to clear out mid. That'll be helpful. There's a lurk out on B right now, so a commitment on A is maybe not what Last Bullet actually want. If anything, they want to go back to B or just slow this down and give time for BZA to work and take some space. That's beautiful. Perfect for LAN. This is falling into place now for Last Bullet. BZA's taken so much space. Just tucked himself here in the corner. Hacking obviously having to now go and investigate. Low on HP will win the duel. BZA wasn't prepared. And that changes it again. Change the game. Living up to their name. Throwing another spanner in the works for this round. And ProKiller will not make a mistake on this hold on the A site. Solid stuff. 7 and 3. CTG have another.
Yeah, another multi-frag from ProKiller. You can see just why this guy's one of the highest rated players in the tournament, despite not really being someone that I've seen too much. Just another Chinese talent out of the pipeline, I guess. Yeah, great off angle. Seems like a very reliable kind of multi-fragger on this CT side. See what kind of role he's going to take on the T side. You know, we did see Zero, you know, playing a aggressive entry role at times, left on the extremity to, you know, poke and prod on the lurk. Wonder if Change the Game with their already established system is just going to kind of stick him in the same position. Because, look, skill set wise, he's shooting like Zero.
Oh, run it back. CTG. See what they can do. Like Zoo, can't see much. Ronan Baby again, good for the entry, but not the 2K. It's seeming to be a pretty consistent thing, the 1-for-1 there in middle, but this is a nice bit of progress into the B bomb side. Hacking has kind of let them out. Bomb to join, and it looks like they want to go for an open plant, which is a mistake considering they didn't have cave control. Still, the kills are coming through. Last bullet. Oh, where is this all coming from? The P250 Miami is the difference maker today. Yesterday it was Ronan Baby getting it all done with the pistol, but today it's Miami. 2 on the entry. He's 15 and 5, gifting another round over to Last Bullet. 8 and 3 the lead. This half is going beautifully.
Yeah, Change the Game hampering themselves a little bit, letting that one slip. Just too much space given over onto B, especially given the fact that you see earlier in that round, Last Bullet are actually locked out of Shelf entirely. So they had no space on B, and then they're just given everything. And unfortunately, Change the Game have been made to regret that. Down to a MP9 as a result. Initial wave of util to contest Shelf, but nonetheless, BZA has taken a little bit of space. Some aggression. Big crunch once again, a big team flash at 957. I don't know if it was him last time, but for the second time in a row, Change the Game have not been able to capitalize as cleanly as they would have wanted. This duel on Red Room, very important. Won well by ProKiller. So a man advantage for now, but Change the Game.
Yeah, Ronan Baby just not checking that angle well enough. Hacking low here, though. He's probably... Oh, I thought it was hacking. It was Laxu, actually, that was pushing the... A main position. So he'll win an important duel as well. And this could well be a 4th on the board for CTG. BZA getting 1.
It's
Round's
still
not
winnable.
done.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good flank from Leixu, though. 40 seconds on the clock, and they're really taking their time. It's just giving him more and more time to play in. Oh, my God. I thought he was going to be ready for that. He is. That's outrageous.
Yeah, not done yet. 20 seconds on the clock. They're going to get into the A site. That's the correct call. Got a smoke and a few flashes to play delay as well. Orp as well for the long lines on this A site. Could be pivotal.
Lands on the line again. He's missed one, but the off angle from BZA is a little bit better. Procula going to require another 3K from him if you're going to change the game a 4th round. And Lan posted up on the line. Nice and easy for him. Very nice 9-3 half there from Last Bullet. Really just dominating it start to finish as we head into the halftime break.
I'm locked in. I don't know if CTG are. Rightio, welcome back on in for the second half here between CTG and Last Bullet. It is map 1, but things are not looking too crash hot for CTG. They've kind of been pummeled on their CT side of Ancient. Now they'll get a crack on the T side, but if this pistol round doesn't go their way, then their map might not be long for this world.
That's a quick execute. Already 3 players in position to defend it, and Miami in the corner is looking menacing as ever. BZA doesn't even bloody know where he is. Miami, as expected from the corner, good for 3, and the flood into the site is just too much for CTG to handle. Rhoda Baby picks up the other 2, And much like the first half, Last Bullet is just dominating Change the Game.
Yeah. Miami's just having an absolute cracker of a game.
That's 6 multi-frags for him in 13 rounds. And look, special shout out to Ronan Baby. He's 5-1 in opening duels. So look, Ronan Baby started them off well. And
sure.
Miami is just killing everyone.
Well, CTG going to give it a crack. This time it seems towards the A site. There's a smoke in their way.
It's a big MP7 buy.
Flash is going out. You'll see that transition coming across from none other than Miami to just clean house again. He's got himself a 3K. USB's out here for land to finish off Vance. And last man standing 957. Doesn't really have too much to say about that round. And that was a buy as well for CTG. So they're going to have to take a save in this one. Or I suppose the decision is made, I guess, if they want to play for 12. But yeah, it's not a good spot to be in.
Don't even get onto the site. Miami's just on another level. Force Buy does come in. They don't want to play for overtime. They want to put together one of the most monumental comebacks of all time. Or go quickly into the second map, because this one has not gone so well. Rona Baby, that's one of the first openers he's actually lost. HE8 blowing open the red rune smoke gives land opportunity. BZ8 not doing well enough on shelf there. Very awkward for 957. Picks up an empty gun, and Miami does very well to at least pluck 2 from mid and drop the bomb on shelf.
Yeah. That's the important factor. Still wants to check red room, and despite the fact that he's got 2 teammates there, hacking up on shelf, will be aware that there's a swing to come from Miami, but just too low on HP to really have any chance in that engagement. And Miami continues to farm the kills, 24 and 8 now. And he's going to have to get one more to get the win. I mean, it's no surprise where he's coming from, but he's just not missing, so you can back him to win that
HP
one.
on Laxu. Didn't even need a headshot. Just added 1 for style points. He's got 25. The next highest on his team is 12. This is just insanity.
Yeah.
He's 2x anybody else in the server. Another force here for Change the Game. Running out of space. Mid once again dominated early on by Last Bullet, and it seems like Change the Game just wants to rush B.
Got to try something. And it's kind of worked. They've actually got into B. Land's feeling a bit scared, so we'll just back up and wait for reinforcements. No better reinforcement to be had, really, than Miami at this point, but they are going to at least have to give that plant over to CTG, who still have quite a bit of util that they can dump down as well. That is, though, a nice nade onto Laxu, and Miami's been flashed out onto short. They're not aware. Oh, no way! Of course he's hit it. And now we're into the 1v1. Land could finish it right here and now. Doesn't know exactly where Vance is, but may have just spotted him out there. Oh, gets off the bomb. Hits the shot, and that will be that. Defuse. Plenty of time with the defuse kit. What a spray transfer from Miami. It was a little bit Zaiwu-esque if you've been following the recent events over there in Cluj-Napoca, but nonetheless, a solid victory for Last Bullet, 13-3. I mean, I feel like we barely even watched a map of Counter-Strike.
I mean, that was maybe an all-time game from Miami. You've seen him put together like little sprinkles in the past. I remember watching him on like promo and New Happy, I think. Can't remember, you know, the pipeline of all the teams that this guy's been a part of in the last little bit. But you saw little sprinkles of that on some of his other teams, a round or two. I haven't seen him do it non-stop every round for the entire game yet. But now we have fully seen the potential of Miami. That was a quintessential life game, and there's nothing you can do as change the game but just give it a crack next map and hope that he's turned off.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's going to be the thing.
Does seem like
we'll see how things do go, though.
His
We'll
way
come back
the site.
for the next map. So, we'll see Baby in his tracks. Smoke will fade favorably as well, popping a little bit of a beating from the grenades on their way through. Dingo kind of watching for it. Peppered by that jump up at Shelf as well. Down early on in the piece. And Ronan, baby, picking the clock. That job is going to be left on the shoulders of Land. Oh, Pro Killer for a double. That's
Timing to peek out with the 5-7. 8K in hand now.
like Zoo living up to their name. Another spanner in this round, and Pro Killer will not make a mistake on this low here, though. He's probably...
Flood into the side is just too much for CTG to handle.
Despite the fact that he's got two teammates there. Hacking there. Oh, gets off the bomb. Hits.
I'll keep going till my feet get cold down. I'll keep going till my feet get cold down. I'll keep going till my feet get cold down. I'll keep going till my feet get cold. I'll keep going till my feet get cold now. I'll keep going till my feet get cold now. I'll keep going till my feet get cold now. I'll keep going till my feet get cold now. I'll keep going till my feet get cold. I'll keep going till my skin get cold now. I'll keep going till my skin get cold now. I'll keep going till my skin get cold now. I'll keep going till my skin get cold now. I'll keep going till my skin get cold now. I'll keep going till my skin get cold now.
Hello guys, welcome back on in for map number 2 here between Last Bullet and Change the Game. Things have gone quite poorly for CTG, which is not really living up to my expectations at least. Pilsky, I had high hopes for them after, we'd seen them have a pretty decent run here in Season 51 Cup number 1 of Asia, but just doesn't seem like they're really cutting the mustard today against Last Bullet. 13-3 on map 1. You have to really question whether or not they've got the chops to get anywhere in this series now, especially after such a performance like that one from Miami. He was hitting absolutely everything.
I mean, I don't know, man. I guess I'm going to play devil's advocate again here because that was a certified life game out of Miami. Look, the rest of Last Bullet were playing decently. They played with good structure, don't get me wrong. But sometimes someone just has one of the best games they've ever had. That might even be Miami's best game ever. And you're just going to lose. It happens, honestly. So it's up to Change the Game to just shake that one off. The good news, it was a quick map, so they can kind of just brush that one off by the wayside. They lose their opponent's map, and it's really up to them to kind of refocus, hope that Miami cools off a little bit. Maybe Last Bullet kind of slows down and lets their foot off the pedal a little bit. And then if they get to play their game a bit more on Dust 2, then we can have a bit more competitive of a series.
Yeah, I suppose that's the good news, is that we are heading on to Dust 2, and that is the map that CTG chose. So, maybe slightly more familiar territory for them, or at least, if not familiar necessarily, maybe just more comfortable territory, I guess, would be the big takeaway. That said, it's not as if they don't play Ancient. So I kind of think that, again, it just seems like maybe there's a little bit of a diffy in the server, and whether or not that will be maintained over the course of multiple maps, I suppose, is the argument that you're going with there. Is it, likely that we're going to see this again from someone like Miami? I don't really think we saw him kind of pop off in that same way yesterday, so I'm not necessarily expecting him to run into Dust 2 here and have that same performance, but I think there are names on that Last Bullet lineup that can kind of continue that could work again.
Yeah, potentially so. Look, I wouldn't be surprised if they get it done 2-0, but I just want to see Change the Game show up a little bit more. They've done already pretty well to make another top 4 of a regional event. They did the first one on LAN in Extremes Land. Maybe didn't do as well in the Z-Tech event, or the play-in at least, but they're kind of going from strength to strength as far as I'm concerned, even if they go out in this game. So look, we'll see how they get going on the pistol at least. Smokes goes out to Xbox. Got a big setup to try to hold long here, and after no contact has been made, Rona Baby takes us an invitation to make his way into the bedroom.
Oh, Hacking might be about to make the worst mistake of his life. Ronan Baby typically pretty good with the pistols. The flash will go over for short, and that will actually bait Ronan Baby into expecting only the one player there, which was not the case. There was 2. Hacking a nice double on the entry, and immediately, as soon as we're out the gates here on Dust 2, it feels like a different game.
Yeah, 3-on-5 attempt here. Last Bullet. Look, if they can hit a couple of sharp shots on the USPs, there's still some potential here. Procula just playing out in the open. The confidence is so brazen from this man, but when he's got the aim to back it up, can you really blame him? Tries to run down land, but on 4 HP and a headshot angle, at least Last Bullet are able to take a 1 with them. But outside of that, very, very nice pistol from Change the Game.
Let's see how this goes. Force buyout from Last Bullet. And CTG going towards B, which is where there's just the one player defending BZA. Drops the smoke nicely, gets some good damage out with that Deagle, all things considered. Solo holding B, though, on a round like that is just never going to go well. Tag in there from LAN, by the way. But, again, surely the percentage play here is just an immediate save call from Last Bullet.
It assumes so. AG does some more chip damage onto 957, so there's 2 players that are a little bit lower. The Raps coming into tunnels. At a minimum, they're keeping them pinned into the site here, is my guess.
Yeah, I suppose so. Ollie just to try to force Miami back away. Will be successful, but there's certainly not going to be any exit allowed out for free into mid. Miami ensuring that much land taken out. But a double kill for Miami is going to do a bit of damage, and there's a chance that 957 is going to go down to the bomb here as well. Does he get away in time? Hacking slow as well. They've both dropped. So a very expensive round in the end. That is going to be a win for CTG, but man, there's a full reinvestment coming through.
Yeah, Hero AK has been kept over into the next round as well. I wonder if they're actually going to be brazen enough to try to reset the T economy right here, right now, or are they going to kind of play the long game? In fact, it's the former. SMG's purchased up another MP7 in the hands of BZA. An MP5 for Miami. I feel like they've bought every SMG in existence here. Liksu slides out onto the long line courtesy of the flash, but is blocked by the smoke. It's a big long stack, so it's good that he hasn't hung around for too long. And now Last Bullet going to work the middle of the map a little bit more thoroughly.
Just get that waterfall smoke on the doors. 957 looks like he wants to walk through it, which doesn't go too well for him. Took BZA a little longer than it maybe ought to have with that MP7 to actually get that kill, and the rest of the punch into mid hasn't worked out for Last Bullet. So 3-0 will be the lead for CTG. Makes sense, obviously, having picked up that pistol, but with the money that Last Bullet have got here, I mean, what they reinvested, I guess, in that last round, they didn't really get enough done to justify it, and so now they have to take a save for round 4. This should theoretically be their first gun round, but it's not going to be.
Let's see what they can come up with. Big push on middle here. And Vance just holding the line, but Miami continuing to instill some fear. Maybe a couple of reminders of how strong he was in that last map, but traded out pretty nicely by Liksu. Still a lot of CTs in middle here. Vance under pressure and Suicide now does not want to drop the orb. Lan is causing some problems in the meanwhile. The CT's starting to get cleaned up out of middle. It does seem like Change the Game have got this one under control for now, but they've taken some pretty heavy losses.
It's not over yet. Bingo's pretty quick on this rotate, but that would assume he makes the correct call to go directly towards B. Smoke's going to go down at the doors. He'll kind of give the game away. He's got a flash. I don't know that that's necessarily going to help him out too much to get into this zone. He's just going to have to take the aim duels, but benefit is at least these two players are relatively low. So if he, gets into a body shot war, that'll give him a bit of an advantage. Clean entry would be required on a 957. Doesn't quite manage it. So 4-0 CTG underway pretty quickly here on Dust 2. Gun round to come though for Last Bullet. This is where they're going to have to start to recover this CT side before it gets out of hand.
Yeah, with the repurchases though on the T side and the orb purchase from Vance, they're working their way through what little money they have. It's definitely a chance at a reset here for Last Bullet. Quick pacing from 957. Corner smoke is allowing him to at least have a little bit of a sniff into long, but shut out by Bingo and Rona Baby for now. So once again, this round starts in very similar fashion. Last Bullet secure long control and Change the Game will slow things down and work the middle of the map. The big issue really is that it's taken a lot of utility to secure that long control for Last Bullet. They've only got 5 grenades to work with, and it's a minute 25 on the clock. Another one goes onto double doors there, so someone's going to have to find some kind of value here in the mid-round, maybe look for a pick. Because, look, if it comes down to bare utility, then the T's have got that in spades.
Ronan Baby's instant actually fizzles in mid there. So he'll be maybe a little more concerned that players could have lurked their way out into middle.
All the utils on B right now. Like, there's really not any grenades left on A, so they're going to have to get some value out of this orb if it is a short execute. Another mid to B smoke comes out. Deep tunnel smoke in reply.
Not much assistance for this B defense. Yeah, like you said, they've got some util, but they're going to have to do it as a duo. Lan might start to come into play if this mid offensive is stalled. BZA and Miami doing a fantastic job they've got more than they ought to have as just a duo. Bombs dropped obviously in mid here as well, so nigh impossible for Procula to win this round. Ronan Baby will shut it down. That's the first on the board for Last Bullet, and you have to give some credit to the B defense. That was very solid.
Yeah, I mean, Miami continued to put in a good shift for the boys here. BZA solid as well. Good for 2 each. Positionally very solid inside of the doors there, and unfortunately the uppers lurk comes in way too late from Procula. Forced in response though from Change the Game. They smoke off double doors and they're sitting in towards backyard, so I think they're just going to wait out this initial wave of util and look for a B timing.
BZA with the jiggle. He's got a smoke and an incend, so he can do some nice delay work. Mid to B smoke's coming through right now. He'll really be starting to get a bit worried, and that's why that smoke's gone down. You'd say maybe even a bit preemptively, but it's actually a really nice timing from BZA. Grenade blowing it open doesn't really help out too much. USP, BZA, another really nice hold. He's just doing it all alone. Miami was a decoy, if nothing else. The 4K from BZA, this B bomb site seems to be completely shut, but at the very least, 957's got in for a plant.
Wants a little more damage to boot, maybe a massive 1v3 clutch on the cards. And try to jiggle the headshot line from Heaton, but no opportunities being given to him. Still a couple more flashes in the back pockets of these CTs as they work their way in. Molly to car, just cutting down the angles that 957 can play from, but spotted out and dealt with well by Lan. 3 alive for Last Bullet, stabilizing their economy a little bit more. And at what point do you start to reconsider even touching that B site when BZA's in this kind of form?
Yeah, 2-4. The resurgence is beginning for Last Bullet. Enough that CTG are going to have to take a half by here. Pistol and armor. And again, you know, sort of initially setting their sights maybe towards that B bomb site. Bomb's kind of headed in that direction again. Early days, of course, they could still pivot back over to A, but I don't know that I'd be too keen to be heading in the direction of B the way things have been going.
The same little pieces and timings from Change the Game as they throw that waterfall smoke onto the doors and apply a little bit of util pressure to Cat. Could be a flash into mid here as the mid to B smoke does fly out. One return from Miami, who's going to dive back into the site. Once again, they're going to test B. Miami's out of bullets, and Laxu's actually got very close here. The timing is a lot better this time from Change the Game, and the CT's very far out of position now.
Hacking's in a great spot as well to punish. Dropping down into CT spawn here to timing will, you'd think, net in the kill. Lan, no chance. Stabbed in the back, and now Bingo has to turn around. This round is, yeah, well and truly done for Last Bullet. Ronan Baby dropping. Bingo got multiple players watching him. CTG strike again. And it was just when it felt like Last Bullet were coming into their own, getting a little bit of comfortable on the CT side, and immediately that's pulled back away from them by a nice round like that one for CTG. So the woes continue. It's
not even that different from what they've done before. Like, it was a similar kind of double mid to B smokes with the B timing there. Oh, duel. Just a pixel in it. Lan finally steps up. He's going to drop the bomb in suicide. An advantage here for Last Bullet, which is sorely needed. Again, they've worked through a lot of their utility in the earlier portions of this round and left not a whole lot in the mid to late round.
What's CTG going to get up to now? Just resetting themselves in middle. That's not going to help them too much.
It's been a lot of B endings from Change the Game thus far.
Could be
Not
another
too
one
much
here.
action towards this A site. I mean, I'd be surprised if they commit B again. Like, surely not. But the
Yeah, just
problem
trying
is that
to-
with how solid the duo on B has been, you're not seeing change the game, last bullet over rotate at all.
No. Not feeling the need to at all. And yeah, this hit's going to come into A, but there's 3 players waiting there. Flash in the face of Pro Killer. Sets up an easy kill for Bingo. Oh, that's awkward. Lan, oh no, he's gone down as well. He was just way too locked in on that long line, and Bingo and Lan go down for free, essentially. And CTG have just busted their way into A. It felt like it should be a freebie again for Last Bullet, but confidence is a bit shaky on this map. Miami trying to pull it back. He's channeling his ancient form a little bit. BZA doing the same. And he's spotted out Lightsu. Last player up at Goose. Low HP. 957 will go down. And Last Bullet will breathe a sigh of relief that they've been able to win that round. It was definitely not a sure thing. And it got much closer than it should have.
I mean, they're barely holding on, though. Only one player surviving and change the game with plenty of money. Post bomb plant to keep reinvesting. I mean, 957 really was the key. The conditioning is really what's allowing Change the Game to get away with so many of these cheeky little calls. Like, he slipped in through the mid to B smoke and walked into CT because they've shown those same mid to B smokes and different variations and endings in towards the mid to late round to the point where you're not even considering that as Last Bullet and you're getting caught by it. Didn't end up netting a round win, but you got to respect the calling of Change the Game. Late pop into long goes quite well. A 1-for-1. This has not really been a point of contest thus far. I'm eager to see how Last Bullet responds.
Vance dropping Ronan Baby up to his usual tricks, quite aggressive. He's going to go up onto short. Bomb plant will be in short here for CTG. But Pro Killer's got a real big job to do here. Multiple players heading out long, and he can't even deal with the first one. Ronan Baby on a bit of a tear in this round, flashing around long. Wants to take the fight to hacking as well. He knows he's got backup. Grenade. Not going to be necessary. Land's got it done, and Miami jumps over the smoke to get the info on 957. That is a super routine retake for Last Bullet, who are now up to 4. And, you know, despite a bit of a speed bump there, losing to the Tech-9 4 spy earlier on, they again, putting something together on this CT side.
Yeah, really nice stuff. Honestly, I think Change the Game kind of got what they bargained for in terms of the late long take goes 1-for-1, and then they're kicking off that A execute after that initial contact. But like Last Bullet, they don't care about all the little tricks and the dry run strats. They just go ahead and take mid control and kind of do the no nonsense approach of working other areas of the map and then leveraging a retake from multiple angles that Change the Game can't defend. Puts them back on the pistols here. Long control secured. Land on a deeper line. Can probably just be left there to further reinforce the middle of the map. Hacking's just dry walked through that mid smoke and is punishing kind.
That's going to happen. It feels as though CTG are kind of getting a little bit punished for letting this half slip away a little bit here. I wonder if Last Bullet can push the issue even further and maybe take a lead at the end of this half. It's kind of heading in that direction. CTG seem to be a bit out of ideas. The B hold has been so strong, so they don't want to go there. Starting to try and go into the A site, and you know, they're getting the A site, but the retakes have been pretty solid. It's looking pretty good across the board for Last Bullet on this CT side. Deagle from Lightsu offered a few shots, but it's the Tech-9 that will strike. Still, it takes too long. Bingo is there to ensure a trade. Land with a bit of aim prac to finish it off. 5-5 the score. Last Bullet really starting to come into their own now on this CT side.
Yeah, money's looking great. Can't say the same for Change the Game. Down a bomb plant, they have to forego a couple of grenades. Hacking's down to Galil, but you still make it work. Again, long control being a key point that Last Bullet wants to secure. And I think they're going to, push Land onto this deep line yet again. Worked a treat in the last round. Bingo's going to be able to just leave him there, and all of a sudden you've got much better holds towards middle and B. Wow, Pro Killer taking a aim duel with both Miami and BZA, and he's been able to win it and at least give his team a man advantage pretty self-sufficiently.
Still going to have to get past Lan on an entry into A. He's been hitting some solid shots throughout this half so far. So I wouldn't be counting my chickens just yet. See what Lan's going to be able to get done. Good damage out initially, but no kill. And this is where the problems start to arise. The flood coming through. Lan has to hit multiple. Bingo there to just render some assistance, but that push coming in from long will become a real problem now. He's got multiple angles to focus in on. Turns away from the flash, but hacking is too good.
Yeah, good ending to the round there after the initial pick towards B. Calling on change the game. Still looking pretty good. I mean, he's just doing it himself. That's what's so impressive. Like, I think if that's something you can replicate, that's something you would have seen Zero do on Change the Game, you know, when we get to watch him in Extremes Land. Like, he's just not afraid to take his ones. Well, big uppers crunch here from the CTs.
Oh, Ryan, baby. Down early, but Miami's still here to cause a bit of an issue, and so too is BZA. One too many members there for the T side, though, and so it's on to Bingo and Lan, who now have to trade a little bit more effectively. Bingo's going to get aggressive out in front of that smoke. He wanted to take a risk. It hasn't paid off. 7-5 in the end, with a halftime score favoring CTG. 5, and that gives them a pretty good fighting chance of pushing this through to Inferno. See how solid Last Bullet are going to look on this T side before we really make too many judgment calls, but it's a damn sight better than what was displayed in that first half. Looks to be a fast B hit out here from Last Bullet to kick off the pistol, and it could not have started worse. Pro Killer the double with the dualies, but 957 absolutely unable to connect anything, and so even still, Last Bullet working their way into this round. Bomb plant, a tap, it's awkward. Lan dealt with. Pistol on the board for CTG, and that's further reinforcing the possibility that we get a map 3.
Yeah, definitely could happen. Good flood on the tap as well for change the game, knowing that at least one of those players has got his hands full for a second. Pro Killer probably got more than he might have bargained for there. Was at least good for the 1-for-1, but a bit fortunate to just spam away and find another. Scout in hand for Lan. Can't connect on the cross. It's the only real investment that Last Bullet have in this round. And he is really sending it. Dear Lord, he's trying to speedrun his way into CT Sport right now. Zero fear.
Yeah, why not? What's there to lose? He's been spotted out, I think, through the mid doors there. 957. Yeah, they were very aware. Vance was watching for it as well. Just going to try their hand at an A hit, and Likes very happy with that. 9-5.
Yeah, lads
CTG
got
on their
3K
way.
now. So, might regret that scout purchase a little bit, or maybe he's going to double down.
I think he might. Or a Galil. Don't mind a Galil, actually.
Yeah, she goes all right. Only got one Molly, though. Mollies are pretty good. They're just going to brawl long, though. Let's see, Change the Game is ready to fight for this. Underarm smoke to try to deal with any initial Molotov, and Bingo's already been taken out of the picture. The scaling in combination with the supportive flashes over the top was excellent. I mean, that was the majority of their util brought into this round, and it's really done them a lot of favors. 957 going to return one in kind, and it's a great timing, but Miami anti-flash able to at least trade that back. So a 2-on-3 now for Change the Game.
Yeah, spacing's been phenomenal for Last Bullet so far in this round. Heading open the smoke, they don't really see too much. There's a re-smoke. There's a bit of a gap in it. It shouldn't matter. Oh, the flash through.
Turned into it. What?
Oy, okay, but they're not surely not going to expect Pro Killer with the push-up ramp here. Has he made a step? I think he did, but it didn't matter. Ronan Baby couldn't land the shots in the end that he needed to.
Did I, like, was that a Go TV bug, or did he literally turn into the flash?
I'm not sure. You might see it on the replay here. Didn't quite get to see it.
There was one bullet in it, but look, Change the Game, hold on by their fingernails. Last Bullet back down onto pistols and armor. Less pacing outside along here, not feeling safe enough to get out there straight away. Ronan Baby takes a little tickle on his way out, but he's, as ever, quite good with the pistols. Oh.
Sharp shot from Vance or two. Yeah, this is just looking like it's going to end up being almost a repeat of the first map, but in reverse. The CTG, unless they lose a couple kills here to Miami, can get themselves up to 11.
I mean, that's kind of what I was saying, though. Like, I feel like everybody on Last Bullet is playing the same as last map, pretty much, except for Miami.
Yeah.
Like, he had a crazy game, but, like, this is... I mean, some of these rounds could have gone either way. I don't think Change the Game is playing, like, exceptionally better, like 11-5 better right now. They have won pistols and whatnot to kind of bolster them along. But, look, they are undoubtedly the better team in this map. Without the Miami life game, there seems to be a bit of a hole in dust, too, for Last Bullet.
Yes. Well, this is not a bad setup. Ronan Baby walking right into it. Man's poised to open another round up for the team. CTG walking their way toward a victory here on D2.
And this is just what kind of impressed me about them at Extremes Land as well. It's like they play with some pretty good structure, this team. I liked a lot of the T-side calling. It seemed like they had a lot of dry run strats and set plays. At the end of the day, though, in a 4v5, Last Bullet are still going to just try to smash the small side here.
Careful Bingo to grab. Pro Killer is going to be in an awkward spot, has to decide which fight he wants to take, and he
nice.
chooses well. Beauty of a double kill there. Miami and Bingo go down, and he's just trying to hold on to this position, wait for the rotate to come in from his teammates. He's happy enough to let that bomb plant go down. They can play out the 4v2 retake. Send Pro Killer in for a bit of info. In fact, BZA's gone down to the spam through the smoke from hacking, and so they'll all just charge their way at Lan, who's putting together something special. Unfortunately, there was one too many. If it was a 3v1, he'd have had it, but a fourth in there, and Vance gets it done. 12-5. CTG 1 round away from closing it out.
I mean, I don't know if we're going to see a replay, but one of those shots was very close to being a collab. Like, that 100% could have been a 1v4 if the spacing was just slightly different. Here we go. That shot.
Was the one. Yeah.
I think it was, actually. He legged Pro Killer. That's really unfortunate. He had to put 2 bullets into Pro Killer, or he 100% could have clutched that.
He was on for it, wasn't he? Just not to be, maybe. This map feels like it's been against Last Bullet in some instances.
Yeah, well earned, though, by Change the Game. That's starting things off. 3 smokes invested in this long take, but you're still not able to cleanly make it in without taking losses. Really just kind of feels like this map in a nutshell for Last Bullet here. Miami dropped off in pit. And the rest of Last Bullet, a very long rotation, but as we can see from the observer, double AWP is in play, so even if they do get a little bit of a contact into P, I don't think they're going to be ready for the off angle. Reaggression from hacking in the mid-round here. Trying to find out what's happening after Last Bullet cuts sound, and he is punished for doing so.
Yeah, Pro Killer solo holding over on B, but he's got the AWP on a very nice line, and that is going to be a freebie for him. Just gets a bit over-eager, though, to pick the rest of the line up, and so Lan tapping away. He can do it with the AWP, he can do it with the AK. There's a flank in from Miami here as well, which will be a problem in a moment for Vance if he ends up getting caught in the back. So all onto Likezu, who will be kept at bay, or maybe not by that Molotov. He just decides to take the fight anyway, and Last Bullet get themselves one more.
Yeah, kind of clambering their way back into this one. Bunny on the CT side is broken. Maybe a side effect of investing in the double AWP and it not working out for you. They're going to force 2 rifles in it. Absolutely no grenades. Vance has got a scout. Takes the fight with it and actually comes out the better. Gets the big green.
I'm 5-7 doing his best BZA impression. Just the jiggle on the corner with the smoke in hand.
Yeah, I heard BZA is like the Chinese version of Scissor. Oh, that's bloody sharp, mate. He's really feeling himself with that scout. Finally, Lan finishes him off. So there's a gaping hole in the middle of the map. That's probably the biggest concern right now for changing the game.
Nice close angle for hacking with that 5-7. Smoke going to be fading, though. Still prepared to take the fight. And not landing any shots there. So Likezu going to have to take a bit of a risk here and looks to try and get out in front of that fight. He does some good damage. Very good damage, in fact, as he actually finishes off Bingo, and he's brought BZA low. Lan's also tagged up. So this could definitely still go wrong. 957, though, needs his timing right, and it won't be favorable for him. So it's all on Pro Killer, who is dealt with. It's another round for Last Bullet.
Yeah, change the game, really just seeing how high they can stack the loss bonus at this point. And there was some promise for a second there with the scout, but pretty quickly swatted away. So now it's time for the full anti-eco. And then change the game. Should have at least 2 to 3 pretty solid gun rounds to try to close this map.
it kind of still, at the moment, feels a bit like a foregone conclusion. You know, I'm not really backing Last Bullet to make a comeback like this one, get it into OT, and then win it from there. It feels like it's going to go wrong somewhere along the way. You'd hope it wouldn't be this round, and it won't be. That flash, though, was not a bad effort from CTG. Got to try something. But USPs against rifles, never really going to go well. 12-8 the score. Last Bullet inching closer, but not too threatening just yet.
Probably a rifle-centric buyout here for Change the Game. And one that's not bolstered by great util. Bit of a B spawn for Last Bullet. See if they opt to take it. This would be a bad round for it, given that, you know, you're not usually going to have the best of util coming into a lower CT buy here. But, look, opted to just keep things simple. Keep working the map. Another default approach here for Last Bullet. Long control secured by Change the Game. I mean, like I said, they didn't come into this round with much util. They don't have any stopping power with no incense. And they're already burning through a lot of smokes in the early round here, just securing the extremities. There's another 2 smokes with the progression smoke out B. Really feels like Last Bullet is trying to bleed them dry.
They've done a good job of it. No smokes left. No mollies left. Couple of grenades, which are going to be potentially pretty important. Vance is the only one holding on to one, so those mid smokes are not going to be blown open. Like Zoo, just going to have to work with a bit of spam or some timing to get anything done there. 957 already dropping, but Like Zoo good for 2. That last mid player was very low, but survives by the skin of his teeth. And again, it looks like it might be a round that CTG could potentially just swindle their way through. What Hacking has to say about it. I mean, it's very risky for Lan to be taking that kind of a fight. Vance as well, by the way, he hears this. But Lan is not missing anything at the moment. And Last Bullet creeping ever closer. The difference now is 3.
Very doable. One of these rounds is against just a pistol armor bite. Look, there were timings where that could have gone wrong for Last Bullet, but they put the pieces together. Putting Lan in the post plan is definitely a recipe for success right now. The B rush against... it's just a B contact off the AWP. Don't mind that. I think the B rush against pistol armor is always a bit ludicrous. Smoke timing is pretty good. Oh, that was getting a little bit sketchy for a second, but they make it work.
Yep. Final will be going down. Like Su trying to pick the pace up again. Wants to go through that smoke, but eventually it reforms after the nade broke it open, and Hacking goes straight into a Molotov and BZA's rifle. Bingo locking down the exit. And Vance will get out with an AK, or at least he'll try to get out with an AK. But he's now being covered off by multiple, so has to go back in the opposite direction. Nonetheless, the important factor is that that is another round for Last Bullet. And the gap closes to 2. So it was not really feeling doable a few minutes ago, but all of a sudden it starts to get believable. And usually this is the point at which the heartbreak happens.
Double AWP right off the rip from Change the Game. If they lose that, they're going to have a very sad looking last gun round of the half. They're going to take a tack timeout, discuss their options. I have to say, Last Bullet been somewhat difficult to read. I mean, there's been a lot of long control for them and pivots back elsewhere in the mid round. There's been a fair bit of mid to B. They haven't really used Cat very much. It's a couple of rounds here and there, but, you know, all in all, no crazy kind of straightforward rounds that you really expect to instantly win you the game. I think that's 2 timeouts back to back, is it not?
Who's counting, really?
Got another B spawn here as Last Bullet. they've opted to take it at times and then not take it at others. This wouldn't be you know, a round where it makes a ton of sense to take it. Like previously, I was talking about the rounds where, you know, you're going up against lighter util and things like that. In this round, I mean, they would potentially be running into one of the AWPs, which can go well for you. If Pro Killer's that B-side anchor, he's got no util. All it takes is just an awkward timing or a missed shot or two, and that's an easier entry into the site.
Tense times now. 2 rounds in it. And the last bullet will not want to make the mistake that sees this one go through to a third. They put in all the effort to mount a pretty solid comeback here, and they want the reward for it that would be at least a crack at the overtime.
I mean, again, even post timeout, the CT util has been heavily used in the early to mid round. B contact timing into a 3-man setup, though, could go well for change the game.
Miami, good for 1 on the entry. You'll need a little bit more than that, and he gets it. Pro Killer down, but Likes still holding on to the site control. An important double from him. Can't get any more, and the rotation hasn't come through just yet, but Vance, a sharp shot onto Bingo. And again, we turn our attention to Land to see if he can pull off some heroics again.
This is definitely the man you want in the clutch. Giving space to work with by change the game. They know that he has to retrieve the bomb. Land is just waiting for a mistake. Sliding out onto the door line here. Hacking, inching ever closer. The pre-fire is excellent, though, and that's going to get it done for change the game. Really, really well worked there on Dust, too. Going to force this series to go the distance.
Yeah, like I said, you know, once it gets to that point where you start to believe, that's where the heartbreak happens. If they would have lost 5 rounds ago, you'd have thought, whatever. It doesn't really matter. They were always going to lose that map. But the fact that they get it within a couple of rounds distance and then lose it, and I think it ends up being a little bit more painful in the end. But look, overall, 13-10. At least they were competitive on it. Last bullet can take something into that final map. We are going to go to Inferno, though, in just a minute for the decider map. So we'll take a break before then, and we'll find out which of these 2 teams will be going up against Morningstar tomorrow in the final of ESL Challenger League Asia Cup number 1. Where there's just the one player defending BZA, drops the smoke doors, 957. Looks like he wants to walk through it. Duo Land might start to come into play if this mid-old BZA and Miami doing a fantastic job. I'd say maybe even a bit preemptively, but it's actually a really nice timing from BZA. Grenade blowing it open doesn't really help out too much. USP, BZA, another. I think getting the kill. Land A, but there's 3 players waiting there. Flash in the face. Has got a real big job to do here. Multiple players heading out long, and
He's just dry walked through that mid smoke, and his putt
was watching for it as well. Just try their hand at an A.
smoke to try to deal with any initial Molotov, and Bingo's already been taken out.
Shouldn't matter. The flash
Sorry, turned into it.
through.
What?
Oh. BZA's gone down to the spam through the smoke from hacking, and so they'll all just charge their way.
Change the game.
But Likes who's still holding on to the site control and One map to go here in the series between Last Bullet and Change the Game. It is Inferno coming up next. And it is the decider that will put one of these two teams through to the grand final against Morningstar. Taking a look back at that previous map, Pro Killer. You kind of highlighted him at the start of the day, Pilsky, as someone to keep a bit of an eye on. And he certainly was up to scratch, I would say, there on Dust 2 to kind of match the performance that we saw from Miami in the first map. We got a good one from Pro Killer in the second map, and we find ourselves unsurprisingly at a 1-1 scoreline.
Yeah, so looking at Inferno to close out this series, I'm low-key kind of feeling confident that Change the Game have got this one in the bag. We saw them play this map a couple of times over at Zowie Extremes Land, and they did pretty decently for themselves. I felt like, again, they, similar to Dust 2, had some pretty good calling on the T side. I liked what I saw from them since we saw them in that event where they were able to win 3 Infernos over there. They lost it in this cup to Arise, but they also beat the Cube and Chinggis Warriors, so they've got a lot of reps over on Inferno versus Last Bullet's only last Inferno game recently was lost in OT versus Fengda. So, I don't know, they haven't had many reps on it. Maybe it was an off game from them. But look, I think Change the Game have got more than enough reps to win this one in 3, but we'll just have to see how it goes.
Indeed, we will. The hit into the B site is coming thick and fast, hacking for one, Pro Killer another. The Doolies can't claim more than the one, though, and so it will ultimately at least be some damage dealt there by Last Bullet. Probably not enough to be satisfied, particularly with the HP of those remaining Ts being quite tagged up. This is not looking like it's going to be an easy affair to get done on the pistol.
Yeah, Lexi's done a really good job taking the rest of the map in the meantime. It's got that second mid line locked down, but Last Bullet, the focus is singular. Hit a couple of shots into B and kick off what you intended to do right from the start of the round. Rotations have come back in from jungle side from Vance, but in the meantime, 957 has been dropped at Coffins. Boost up doesn't really bear any fruit as hacking, and Vance scramble into position here. Bomb plant does get cancelled, so both of the players with blocks can fight, and now Laxu is all on his own.
BZA, though, so low, 12 HP. It should be a bullet that's in it, and especially if it's a headshot, Laxu is going to confirm it. CTG, a little bit tentative, I guess, in the end on the pistol, but they do get it over the line, and that's really what matters. No bomb plant as well. Very important. Is secured for CTG, and that means that Last Bullet are unlikely to invest in this round. They'll get a bit of an easier runway into the map, CTG.
Really up to Last Bullet to chip in any damage if they can. Pretty upgraded pistols. Could get a little bit of work done. Gotta reserve your expectations. Banana's been taken by CTG, though, and it's a nice off angle from Vance. He's got the A4 in hand, and he wants to do some pretty serious damage. That's a nice trade from Land, though. That opens up the jungle side of the map a little bit, and he's continuing to just crack heads. Pro Killer from Dig side needs to be just as solid as Zero was in that same position, and he's able to deliver 4 in that round, actually. And honestly, if he doesn't do that much damage from Porch side, that could have got very sticky for Change the Game.
Well, in the end, all's well that ends well. 2-0. And straight into attack pause. Like to taking a break, as we'd all like to, I'm sure.
Would he like to reconnect to the server? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, the sooner the better. That would be ideal. It's never fun, especially in the last map here. You know, you just want to get underway, particularly when you found that pistol win. You're up 2-0. Things are flowing nicely. It's not to be for the moment. I haven't had the opportunity to see change the game play against Morningstar in this particular cup. So, you know, might be a bit more of an interesting storyline if tomorrow we do get to see change the game play Morningstar. If it's the rematch of Last Bullet versus Morningstar, we'll definitely be going into that one with the expectation that Morningstar is going to kind of wipe the floor with Last Bullet. Particularly because today they have been okay, but not outstanding. Outside of, you know, Miami on map 1.
Yeah, I mean, he really put them over the top. It's like, Lexu's back in the server. Get a quick reset. Make sure all the money lines up and everything before we kick off this first gun round of Inferno here. It's the third pistol win in a row for Change the Game. Series started off with Last Bullet winning both of those pistols over there on Ancient. And as you mentioned, Miami kind of going crazy. Changed the game, winning both pistols on Dust and getting off to a pretty good start on both halves. Despite that fact, Last Bullet, you know, did keep things very competitive. Looked like at one point they were going to scrape it all the way back into OT. So look, another pistol won by Change the Game makes things start very well, but a lot of damage inflicted on both sides of the map for both teams, really. 957 and Procula taking a lot of damage, but really the crux of the issue for Last Bullet is Ronan Baby's been lost on T-stairs. And we're also whiffing jungle take util. That's going to make things harder, especially when you don't have much util to begin with.
Nice chip damage as well out of that grenade. 957 reading into the possibility that there's someone sitting on T-stairs, and so Bingo will eat pretty much the majority of it.
Contact walk up on bracket side. 957 with the little util left on the CT side, joined by hacking. Vance quite happy to sit around in this jungle position, just on a little off angle and see what he can get done with the MP9. He's going to kind of reserve his expectations otherwise. Big lean towards B off of that util there thrown by Bingo. This could be a great timing. Great molly flushing out Vance. Change the Game might be in a little bit of trouble here.
1 for 1. CTG won't be too disappointed by that, I guess. As long as ProKiller survives here, it becomes a very difficult side to take. That's a molly. By the way, this is really awkward from Last Bullet. They've got themselves into all sorts of problems, and, well, ProKiller, he's trying his best to survive. He eventually does get run down by a jumping Miami, but hacking is just so fast on this flank. I can't see a world where Miami's going to be expecting this. Wants to tuck himself into pit. He knows that he's got that T stuck on the site. So he's just trying to figure out exactly where Miami is.
No kit.
There's not many places left that he could be. Spots him out now. Both have the info, and it is hacking that will win the duel. Again, maybe could have been cleaner, but job done. 3-0 the lead.
A lot of whiff to util in that round for Last Bullet. Definitely could have made the difference when it comes down to a 1v1 like that. But with the bomb plant, maybe they can a little bit of purchase into the next round and keep things just as competitive. That reset window open. This is an armor coming out here. Got a proc smoke to top mid. Banana take on the cards here for Change the Game. See if Last Bullet want to retake. You can see Bingo's already got the flashes at the ready here. Lovely.
Ooh. Yeah, beautiful entry for Ronan, baby. And it doesn't seem like that hype train's going to stop unless it is forced to. Vance and 957 combining for the initial hold. The flash into barbecue as well. Oh, Vance almost looked like he was on for 3 there. In the end, it's 957 that will confirm the kill onto Bingo. So, actually, not a bad round in the end, considering for CTG.
Yeah, they lost that pick over on banana side. It was good flash timing from last bullet, but that was already a heavily reinforced site. Extra player and extra util brought on over there. So even after they find a pretty clean entry into banana, they're still running into a pretty difficult task once they actually try to force their way through the beat choke. Progression smoke this time, just trying to mask the intentions of last bullet on B while they work that A side of the map. Quicker jungle side smoke. And a lot of presence into apps here. Last bullet very much making their intentions known that they're looking for a little bit more of a little bit more space on bracket side earlier on this time.
Oh, I mean, they've got brackets. What are they really going to do with it? It seems like CTG are all that concerned at the moment. Like, so he gets set up with a flash to have a bit of a look in, and he should find a double there. Miami just not cottoning on to the possibility as quickly as he needed to. So he went down with his back turned, and it's, well, back to 2-on-2. Not a bad little exchange in the end there from BZA. Molly will come through too late to cause too many issues. There's some real damage, 957. Catching land as he tries to transition into pit, and BZA suffers the same fate to hacking. So CTG, even when these rounds look like they're going to get close, kind of just end up getting through them with no problem.
Yeah, I mean, change the game of keeping the press on. Not allowing last bullet to get themselves into those comfortable positions on that A site. They could kind of leverage to use to win the 2-on-2. 957 kind of peppering them through the smoke in transition, and then hacking on the quick flank. Straight out bracket. The buys keep flowing. Bomb plants plus the loss bonus, but still no rounds on this T side. There's another Nana take. She's looking good. They're trying to bust straight through here, and they have put a significant amount of pressure on 957, but Vance is there to back it.
Bingo. Catching 957 as he tries to exit. Again, the util is just poor from last battle. Last bullet, I should say. Miami's going to start to struggle his way forward, but there's a rifler there waiting, and again, another really easy hold for CTG. They are just completely outclassing last bullet at the moment.
I mean, I might be reading into it a little bit too much, but like we talk about one team having one rep on this map in officials the last 3 months against not the greatest of teams in Fengda versus CTG playing it quite a lot in the last 3 months. You know, plenty of reps on Inferno, including 3 reps in this cup. They're looking like the much better drill team. I haven't seen them with any util. I'm seeing last bullet a little bit all over the place at the moment and kind of falling apart. Honestly, balcony aggression doesn't go as well as you might have wanted it to, but again, this is the strong part of the map, so even though they've lost a pick on the CT side here early on, if the T's try to capitalize on that, they're going to be running into a brick wall.
1 for 1 again. 957 keen to complete it, and you know, it's the same story, isn't it, Pilsy? Like, there's a point in that round where you think, okay, maybe there's something in this one for last bullet, and then it just kind of ends up being like, oh, well, 3 alive for CTG, not really a big deal.
It's very intentional, though, from CTG. Like, they're putting these players on the front foot on the strong side of the map. So that even if there's an early exchange, they've got more players there. So that's where Last Bullet, like, they need to start recognizing that and that tendency of like, okay, they're aggressing on the strong side. If we win, get ourselves into a decent position in the XVX, we need to slow down, work the other side of the map, or get an aggressive lurk going. This round started no better though. Vance has already found an opener, and Hacking's made his way all the way down into Broom. The map control is just stifling. The only thing being given to the T's right now is Bracket, but Vance is making his presence known over here. You've got Likes on the off angle towards jungle side. I think if you take any further steps, you're going to be punished for it. Double smoke to jungle. Like, it's just messy stuff, man.
Yeah. Another solid opener for CTG. 2 players down on Last Bullet. So much map control here for Hacking. And Likes chiming in as that transition goes over to B. BZA doing his best. You know, give him some credit. He's trying to drag his team kicking and screaming out of some of these holes they find themselves in, but it just doesn't really seem to be enough.
I mean, again, Procula's on this deep line towards second mid. If he goes unchecked, yeah, that's just the round. It's just great positioning. Like, CTG has just got much better understanding of the macro right now. Like I said, aggressing strong side. You saw multiple times players pushing second mid and just kind of cordoning off the rest of the map. They're just all over the rotations.
Eight and 0. Don't know that I expected this to really be the scoreline. Likes very nearly going down to that Molotov, but just backing his way up all the way to pit. There's, again, just another bit of fortune really for 957. And another 2-player advantage for CTG.
Oh, man. Bingo blown up in logs. They set his corpse alight. The same can be said for Lan. And BZA, I mean, he was waiting this whole round to do something, but the bombs dropped on the B side of the map, and Vance is posted on him, 9 and 0. This is a schlappen. Been a while since I've seen a team that doesn't look like they know how to play Inferno, but that is kind of what I'm witnessing. Maybe it's just a case of Last Bullet's just a team with not that great of a map pool, you know? Haven't really fleshed it out yet. Fleshed it out just yet.
I guess so. But it's a bit of a staple in the pool, you know? So can't really afford to be struggling this much on a map like Inferno. Miami down early on in the piece. Ronan baby though, at least able to get one back, but Vance is just having an absolute ball. Apparently it's his turn to be the one to be the driving force behind CTG.
This is probably the best opportunity that Last Bullet have had for a round. 957 is solo on this B side of the map. Lance keeping the A players interested for now. If they could just get this clean entry and finally get into a post plant, there might be some potential.
Again, Vance chiming in, up to 15 and 6 for the half now. You've said a few times, Spilsky, if this, then that, in the hopes that maybe Last Bullet have had a chance in any one of these rounds, but they've just never happened.
10 and 0. And this is what impressed me about Change the Game over in Extremes Land as well. Like, this is why I was saying, like, it sucks to lose 0. Guy is absolute standout player, but the thing that impressed me about their team is just that they had good structure. They played the game properly. I mean, as we heard from them in interviews, that's the whole point of their name, right? Like, they don't just want to be another aim-heavy Chinese team that doesn't understand the macro, doesn't have a playbook. And you just see the value of that in this game of Inferno. They've got all these different setups. They're moving Vance around everywhere. The util is excellent. They understand the rotations. It's just a very well-drilled team.
Bit of a better start this time around for Last Bullet, a 1-for-1. 957 under a lot of pressure. Hacking is there to try and trade, and of course, he'll get 2, which is just going to keep this round honest. It's about the best looking chance that Last Bullet have had, to be fair. In the 2-on-2, it will be a post plan as well. And they've got some util to play delay if they need it.
Yeah, something just tells me that it's not going to go well. I mean, that's a good kill from BZA. Pro Killer in a 1v1, the jiggle. It's very nervous stuff from Big Go. You could just tell he wasn't over it. He was not all over it. He was shaking in his bloody boots. Oh, damn, man. 11-0. Felt like Pro Killer was just toying with him on the half wall.
Yeah. Nothing going right for Last Bullet. And, well, they might as well call themselves last round or last chance, because we're kind of at that now. This will be a 12-0 half the way things are going for CTG, and there's just no coming back from that for Last Bullet. They're going to be knocked out of this cup of ESL Challenger League Asia, and they'll be left waiting for cup number 2, where, you know, debatably, things are not necessarily going to get any easier.
Banana taken again here by Change the Game. Bit of a miss push through that jungle smoke, and Rona Baby is made to pay. Miami making some inroads, does clean up hacking, but that's where Vance is like, you just never know where this guy is going to be. He's been Dick side, he's been Banana, he's been Carps. It's a good kill onto Pro Killer. Does leave Laxu alone on the site if you could segment him off, and the util's doing a good job of that.
Skill. Oh, but Vance gets one, and how does 957 get that? Just walks through the smoke.
Oh, man. BZA, he's kind of reading this one. He knows Vance has probably made some moves here, but footsteps heard. That's very bad news. Vance on the cross. He has not missed many shots. That is maybe the first in a little while. You can tell that BZA is quaking in his boots. He doesn't want to get 12-0 here, but it doesn't matter what he thinks. Vance is going to close it. Let's go to a short half-time break for maybe...
It's not over. Come back, Vance.
Half-time break for maybe a shorter second half than the break, perhaps.
Alrighty, well, one round away for CTG after a phenomenal first half. They are up 12-0. Shouldn't be taking them too long to have a crack again at Morningstar tomorrow, but we'll see maybe if Last Bullet can prevent the inevitable for any sizable amount of time and pick up this pistol.
I mean, the way they're playing, I'd love to see them have a crack at Morningstar, honestly. Especially after it was a pretty cut and dry win for Morningstar against Last Bullet last time. He's been on a mission this game. P250 in hand. He's a bit of a raid boss right now, exerting some aura over on bracket side. But in the meantime, you do have changed the game. They slowly spread out around the map. Pro Killer's made his way through Carps. Banana's been taken. Got a lot of space on the map right now.
Over top, 957 goes down early. Last Bullet drawing first blood for the pistol round, it would seem, and maybe for this second half they might have something to say about things. We'll see if Hacking wins this duel though. All of a sudden the round opens back up again. Pilski, are we seeing it? Groundhog Day, a round that starts well enough for Last Bullet and might just peter away.
They've got space to plan here. And aggression over on Dig's side. Yeah, I mean, the dualies didn't do anything. You thought that Rona Baby was going to clean up there, but it's a 2v1 that feels pretty unwinnable for Bingo because now he's got to run into the dualies. And being picked up by Hacking 13-0. That is unbelievable for a third map there.
Yeah, I don't know really what to say about that one. I mean, look, end of the day, just not good enough at all for Last Bullet. They were all sorts on Inferno, but pretty good game, obviously, coming through. Changed the game in the end on that map as well. Solid performances, nice bounce back as well after getting kind of demolished in map 1, 13-3 on Ancient. It was a real standout performance from Miami, but you could kind of tell that as we went through that one, changed the game, did power up a little bit, and yeah, put on their best display here on map number 3. So nice to see that, and we'll get to see them play tomorrow against Morningstar as well, which is going to be pretty cool because we already kind of had a bit of an indication of what Last Bullet versus Morningstar might look like, and that was a pretty one-sided affair. I have my suspicions that tomorrow will probably still be a bit more of a one-sided affair. I definitely have a lot of faith in Morningstar, and I think you're a bit of a convert as well after having watched their match yesterday, but at the very least we'll get something a little bit different.
Yeah, I'm eager to see Change the Game take them on, and honestly, like, I prefer it that way. I've already seen that Last Bullet Morningstar series. I don't necessarily really want to watch it again. I think that Change the Game have got a pretty unique and interesting style, and Morningstar play pretty straight up, similar to Last Bullet, so I'd rather see a bit more of a clash of styles there, and see just how far Change the Game can kind of push this one. We already see them kind of peak with the top 4 over at Extremes Land. Now they push it a step further at another domestic event, getting a top 2 in this Asia Cup, despite losing arguably their star player, is really, really good work from the boys.
Yeah, most definitely. And you can see that's how the lower bracket did play out. Up in the upper bracket, this is where things, now culminate tomorrow. We'll have the final of Oceania, and then we'll also have the final of Asia right after that. So should be 2 pretty good games. It's, I think, maybe 2 of the more expected matches. We get Thunder Down Under versus Ground Zero. That's definitely the expectation out of the Oceania bracket. And as far as the Asia bracket is concerned, to me, Morningstar would have been a pretty obvious choice to make it through to that grand final. And then you probably would have thrown in the names of Change the Game, Chinggis Warriors, maybe as the next couple to keep an eye on. Last Bullet obviously go a little bit deeper, so credit to them for that. But it is Change the Game versus Morningstar, which again I look at and say, you know what, that kind of makes a bit of sense to me. It's not too surprising of a result as far as the grand final matchup is concerned. But I think both matches have a fairly straightforward favorite in them, and it's just going to be a question of whether or not the underdog coming into either of those games is really going to be able to push the issue all that much.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think the O's final may be a little more one-sided. I got a little bit low-key faith in Change the Game, but look, as we can see with this bracket, had a pretty good run for these Chinese teams in Cup number 1. They've really set the tone. early on here in 2026. There's plenty more ECL Cups to come as we head throughout the year, as well as a spattering of other APAC events always kind of running concurrently. So, look, I think that the Chinese teams pretty early on here have kind of thrown down the gauntlet in the Big 26, and it's really up to some of the Mongolian teams and the other minor regions to show a little bit more strength as we head throughout the rest of the year as well.
Yeah, and I think, again, very important for the likes of Morningstar, Change the Game, etc., to get the maximum that they can out of this cup, because there's always the possibility that Cup 2, Cup 3, Cup 4, you see someone like a Lin Vision or a Tyloo or a Rare Atom accepting that VRS invite that they would have no doubt received and turned down for this cup. So it doesn't necessarily get any easier going forward, and this is where you really want to lock things in. But that's a conversation maybe more for tomorrow and for the future. For now, we have to wrap the day up. So thank you very much again for tuning in, and we'll be back again tomorrow to bring to a close Cup number 1 of ESL Challenger League Asia. And we hope you'll join us then. For now, have a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow. Just the one player defending BZA. Drops the smoke, you'd say maybe even a bit preemptively, but it's actually a really nice timing from BZA. Grenade blowing it open doesn't really help out too much. USP, BZA, another think netting the kill. And watching for it as well. Try their hand at an... BZA's gone down to the spam through the smoke from hacking, and so they'll all just charge their way. Lovely. He should find a double there. Miami just go. One again. 5-17. Raisu. Chiming. Backing his way up all the way to pit. There's
and aggression over on Big side. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.